Hello friends, myself Dr. Nidhi Darbari on My Education Treasure. In my previous video on Axiology, I had explained about the meaning and realm of Axiology. In the present video, I am going to explain about the branches and its educational implications. Branches of Axiology. Axiology has two main branches, aesthetics and ethics. Aesthetics. It is that branch of philosophy that studies beauty and taste, including their specific manifestation in the tragic, the comic, and the sublime. Its central issues include questions about the origin and status of aesthetic judgment. Are they objective statements about genuine features of the world or purely subjective expressions of personal attitude? Should they include any reference to the intentions of artists? Are the reactions of person, and how are they related to judgments of moral values? Aesthetic asks such questions as what is beautiful and what should I like? How do we recognize a great piece of music? Art. Can there be beauty in destruction? Aesthetics is the realm of value that searches for the principles governing the creation and appreciation of beauty and art in both the higher arts and the things of daily life, such as school architecture, television programs, and billboards. Evaluation of beauty and ugliness fall into the aesthetic realm. More specifically, aesthetics consider each of these issues as they arise for various arts, including architecture, painting, sculpture, music, dance, theatre, and literature. Aesthetics is a significant component of the philosophical work of Plato, Aristotle, Kant, and Santayana. In the discussion on the realm of value, aesthetics is important because it concerns the feeling aspect of one's experience, creation, and appreciation of beautiful things. Aesthetics experience is treated by philosophers according to the particular philosophy they believe in. For naturalists, the experiences are purely natural and the subject is a child of nature. The idealists look at art as the flower of life. They treat music the highest form of art. For them, aesthetic experience does not use the form of nature. In turn, the person undergoing the experience does not use the form of nature, the person identified with the sense of things. There is thus a spiritual element in such experience. The realists identify a close connection between the refinement of one's perception and the ability to enjoy aesthetic values and suggest the criterion for our taste. For example, Montaigne has this to say: the judgment that is based on the more inductive experience is superior to one based on only a fragment of that experience. However, for the pragmatic, aesthetic experience take place in a life which is changing and not static. Dewey describes the occasion of enjoyment as that which distinguishes an experience as aesthetics by the conversion of resistance of tension, of excitation that in themselves are temptation to diversion into a movement towards an inclusive and fulfilling close. Thus, aesthetic valuation is a part of daily life and cannot be avoided. The aesthetic experience is tied to the cognitive world of intellectual understanding and also soars beyond the cognitive into the affective realm because of its focus on feeling and emotions. Aesthetic experience enable people to move beyond the limits imposed by purely rational thought and the inadequacies of human language. A picture, song, or story may create an impression in a person that could never be conveyed through logical argument. Human beings are aesthetics beings, thus, it is usually equally impossible to avoid teaching aesthetics in the school, home, media, or church as it is to avoid inculcating ethical values. However, the realm of aesthetics does not exist in a vacuum. To the contrary, aesthetic belief is directly related to other aspects of people's philosophy. For example, if subjectivity and randomness are embraced in epistemology and metaphysics, they will be reflected in both aesthetics and ethics. People's aesthetic values reflect their total philosophy. Study of the basic philosophical questions about art and beauty. Sometimes philosophy of art is used to describe only questions about art, with aesthetics the more general term. Likewise, aesthetics sometimes applied even more broadly than to philosophy of beauty, to the sublime, to humor, to the frightening, to any of the responses we might expect works of art or entertainment to elicit. Aesthetics is the study of values in the arts or the inquiry into the feelings, judgments, or standards of beauty and related concepts. Philosophy of art is concerned with judgment of sense, taste, and emotions. Ethics. Ethics is a branch of study dealing with what is proper course of action for men. How should I behave is an ethical question. Ethical theory seeks to provide right values as the foundation of right actions. Ethics is the study of moral values and conduct in human behavior or the study of moral problems. Example, the rightness or wrongness is of action. The kinds of things which are good or desirable, whether actions are blameworthy or praiseworthy, what is good life, which of the values are intrinsically good as opposed to instrumentally good, how can be distinguished between right or wrong, and of how theories of right action can be applied to special moral problems. At a more fundamental level, it is the method by which we categorize our values and pursue them. Do we pursue our own happiness or do sacrifice ourselves to a greater cause? Subdisciplines include meta-ethics, value theory, theory of conduct, and applied ethics. In many ways, ethics is the crucial issue of our times. World societies have made unprecedented technological advances but have not advanced significantly, if at all, in their ethical and moral conceptions. Both as individuals and within societies, human beings exist in a world in which they cannot avoid meaningful ethical decisions. Thus, schools must teach ethical concepts to their students. The problem is that people embrace different ethical bases and feel quite negatively about having their children indoctrinated in a moral view that is alien to their fundamental beliefs. That fact has put school at the center of various cultures that has rocked society at large. It has also led Adventists and other Christians to establish their own schools. The desire to pass on to their children a specific system of moral values is a powerful motivator for most parents. At the heart of ethical discussions are such questions as, are ethical standards and moral values absolute or relative? Do universal moral values exist? Can morality be separated from religion? And who or what forms the basis of ethical authority? Religious values. Religious values include the kind, nature, and worth of values which one can possess in worship and other religious experiences. The four leading philosophies treat the subject in their own different ways. The idealists have to say a lot on religious values, for there is a close relationship between logic and religion. In the operation at this year's pray, for there is a close relationship between axiology and religion. In the Upanishad, the seers pray, from the unreal, lead me to the real, from the darkness, lead me to light, from death, lead me to immortality. The experience is gained through study, reflection, and meditation, leads the seer to consciousness of God. In Christianity, God from his third person, he becomes thou in praise. In Islam, the mystic goes a stage further. In the ultimate state of his inward, he knows that times, space, and even distinction between I and thou have all vanished, and the relationship is I am that Anal Haq. Additionally, the idealists include the love of God, preparing the same for the reception of novelty, genuine creativity, enjoyment of vicarious successes, and enhancement of human attachment in religious values. The naturalists believe that human beings should ally themselves with value realizing force in nature and bring into existence values not actually in the present. The realists fall into two categories. In the first category are those who believe in the existence of God. They feel that many traditional religious values in human experience. Those realists who are not theists may find consummate beauty in the literature of Roman Catholic, but not the truth in the dogma of the Church, as did Sanatana. As for the pragmatist, DV defines religious values as one that realizes values, but such values is naturalistic and occur in interaction within society. If you found the video to be informative and interesting, I request you all to please give a like to the video to motivate me, share it for others, and subscribe it so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. Social values. The last important aspect of value concerns society. Society in naturalism depends on the natural order. An individual man is the child of nature and not of society. Even when he has to relate himself to society, he does so as a matter of exigency. Thus, social values are just synthetic values binding individuals together. The idealists seem to be more of the occupied with spiritualism. Yet society is treated not as a collection of individuals but as an organism in which individuals participate. The realist has something to be in common with naturalist in that they too acknowledge the reality of physical world and the individual as the basic unit of organization. However, the method of analyzing social values will depend upon the effective mechanism of relationship and organization. The pragmatics attach great importance to society and its values. Almost all the values are achieved through the individual's social life process, and the dependence of individuals upon society has been treated as fundamental social value. The problem of value judgment is very complex indeed. Logic is the science of logic. There are two branches of logic: inductive logic and deductive logic. Axiology and education. Our contemporary age is an age of great confusion and turmoil. Wars and conflicts continue unabatedly, and innumerable alarming and tragic phenomena, including terrorism, destruction, arson, kidnapping, murder, drug abuse, alcoholism, sexual immorality, family breakdown, injustice, corruption, oppression, conspiracy, and slander are occurring worldwide. At the vertex of this turmoil, humankind's most valuable assets are now almost obliterated. It is referring to the loss of personal human dignity, the loss of time honored tradition, the loss of dignity of life, the loss of mutual trust among people, the loss of authority of parents and teachers, and the list goes on. In this context, education plays an important role for inculcating the values such as truth, beauty, and goodness, and transmitting from one generation to another through its curriculum. It has been rightly stated that culture is a totality of values created throughout history, and that education is the means of performing culture. That is why axiology requires an important educational dimension. What are the components of this dimension? Firstly, axiology, by projecting a system of values, proposes educational aims under the form of axiological objectives and ideals. Secondly, axiology comprises both general, human, or universal and specific values for a determined community, thereby giving it its personality. Education preserves and transmits values that guarantee the cultural identity of the human community. Thirdly, the performance of values require knowledge and experience, which means the involvement in this process of education on its two interrelated planes, cognitive and emotional. Finally, as axiology is the horizon of the manifestation of human creativity, education has among its fundamental functions that of cultivating the creative power of the individual and the human community. Otherwise expressed, though personality is the source of all values, it is not born but is developed by education. That is why we estimate nowadays that education is one of the fundamental resources for future social development. From this, there results a very important conclusion. Without education, axiology would be deprived of living power, and without the light of axiology, education would grope about in the dark. Thank you very much for patiently watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe.